but can you still see me though? So we're going to put you towards the middle, or you can just stay with me, I guess. But you can see what they're doing. They're spreading out across there right now.
Okay, so according to this, we're live. Alright, so let's go.
We good?
Yep.
Right. Hi, my name is Brian Garrett. I'm a wildlife biologist with the South Florida Water Management District. This morning, we're in CREW, which is the Corkscrew Regional Ecosystem Watershed, and we are going to be capturing birds using mist nets. And if we capture any sparrows today, we're going to be banding those birds. And we have volunteers today, as well as FWC and other water management employees here. And behind the camera today, we have Gabe. So say hey, Gabe.
Hello.
So we're just going to go ahead and get started. If you have questions, go ahead and throw them out there. We'll answer them as we can get to them today. So we're going to go ahead and make our way over this way, Gabe. So be careful, there's some pipes around here.
So now what are we doing here?
Alright, so what we're doing is we're taking this rope and we're spreading it out along this as far as the rope can go, and there's going to be 4 of us handling the rope. And we're going to run this rope like we're herding birds towards a net that's actually over this way, which you can't see yet, but we'll eventually get to. So I got to hang on to the end of this rope. I can't let it go. And they're going to continue to walk over there, I think. Yep.
So when we get up to the net, we get close to the net. If you don't have a flashlight,
I do.
Stay back a bit, because there could be birds in the bottom panel that are on the ground. You can't see them.
Okay.
So, unless you have a flashlight, you can watch when you're walking.
I do. Are we still moving over? Are we still moving this way?
Yeah, I have to get back down to the net.
Okay. So right now we're just getting prepared. We're doing this at first light because this is when the birds are just kind of chilling out in the morning, and their first introduction to the day will be us herding them towards the net. What's that?
Yeah, we're in about 20 yards from the road.
All right, we're going. You can see how the rope is actually nice and tight, and it's pulling across all this grass. And by doing that, we're disturbing the birds and we're running them this way. I think I just heard a grasshopper sparrow right over there. So this is a good workout. Walking through this thick, dense grass keeps the legs moving in the morning. It looks like we're coming up on the nets up here. You can maybe start to see the poles here. We're all the way on this end of the net, so the birds are being pushed towards the net right here. And there's actually the end of the net right over there. All right, we have a bird here. This is a Pom Warbler. And we will have Bob, who I will introduce to you soon, who is the bird bander. We'll have him remove this Pom Warbler. So this is not one of the target species. So essentially we'll pick this bird up out of the net carefully and we'll just release him. Now if we want to walk down this way, we might see if they're getting any of the target species, which would be savanna sparrows. Let's see here, what do we have here? All right, here we have a wren. I believe it's possibly a house wren. And here we have another Pom Warbler. Ooh. We got a wren. Ooh, he got out of it on his own.
Good? Am I good?
Yep.
Nope.
No.
Here's a Pom Warbler.
Yeah, there was another Pom Warbler that way.
Whoops.
House wren.
Okay, I got my ID right. I knew it wasn't a Carolina wren because it didn't have that eye stripe.
Let's just go right, Bob.
What is it called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there more, Kathleen? Another one?
House wrens are a knack for getting
Wow,
extremely
yeah,
pumped
he really, I mean,
because,
he didn't really even struggle that much once we got up here. He would looked like he'd already gotten himself.
Yeah. Just count how many.
So it's a very delicate process. Bob is an expert among experts. And it's a
house wren. Wrens in general like to get caught much more so than say the warblers do. Okay, so I'm freed now. So I got both of his legs free. Now it's just a matter of wings.
Did you guys get any sparrows back that way, or?
I had one that was just barely caught, and I got up there and he got out. And
Ah.
started to. It wasn't hardly even caught. He got out.
You guys get more?
There was one more Pom Warbler down there.
And there have been a lot of Pom Warblers captured during this effort for capturing mist netting the birds. They're highly common species throughout South Florida this time of year.
So talk a little bit about where we are in Crew here. What is Crew?
Okay, so Crew is a conglomerate of properties owned by a lot of different agencies, and as well as the Crew Trust. It includes South Florida Water Management District lands. Does FWC own any of the properties through here?
No, they help us, me and.
But they do help.
But
DEP owns some of the properties, and it's Lee County also, and it's collectively managed by the South Florida Water Management District in association with FWC. So it's a cooperation all around, and actually today you can actually introduce to the land manager here is Joe Bozzo. He's just behind us here.
Hi.
And so Joe leads the way on a lot of the efforts, from everything from keeping the habitats nicely intact, a good burn regime, plant control, exotic plants.
So what's important about this property?
This property is kind of unique compared to the rest of Crew because most of Crew is pine flatwoods and marsh and swampland type areas, and this is there's just a few little areas like this that are grasslands. And as we're starting to find out, there are a lot of birds that really utilize this area that might not utilize the pine flatwoods as much, such as the sparrows. So this area is important. It just adds a little bit of diversity to the habitats that are out here. And some of the sparrows that are the target species today are in other parts of the country. When they migrate away, in some of those areas they actually might be a listed species. Here in Florida they're not, but in other areas they might be. So this might be a really important wintering ground for some of those species like grasshopper sparrows, the migratory grasshopper sparrow, not to be confused with the endangered Florida grasshopper sparrow that doesn't migrate.
That was one of the initial emphases for this project, was to see if the Florida grasshopper sparrow was here.
Might actually be
we
here.
didn't
Okay.
expect it to, but
this
is a good way to find out.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, because you're getting a close-up look of all of them.
And so if you get any of the sparrows, you'll band them so you know if they're coming back, and if it's not a sparrow or a species that you're not studying, you just let them go.
Essentially, yeah. In this case, we just basically let most of the non-target species go on their way. But the target species, if they are already are banded, then that gets recorded. If they don't have a band, then they'll have a band added to them today.
And there's another net, right?
There is another net to the other side. Now it's starting to, the sun's finally starting to, first light's finally starting to hit here, and so we will move to the other net and go ahead and run the same rope across it, just to kind of get some diversity. We may actually maybe do the other side of this one first, and then move to the other net. So that way we're getting this side of the field, and then both of those sides of the field. And this little guy really got himself in there. So in some cases you end up just having to cut the net, when it can't get the net just over the wings or over certain feathers. Means you end up having to fix your net down the road, but it gets the bird out.
The last resort.
Last resort, yes. Not something you want to do, but
He's just kind of hanging out.
best thing to do is to control the bird the best you can so that it's not struggling anymore.
There he goes.
There he goes. He didn't go very far. He's right there. We might be releasing him again. He might be tired too from that. Okay. So, the rest of the net has been checked, I guess.
Yeah, we have 4 Pom Warblers.
So let's drag the rope down the other side.
Okay. All right, I'm going to get back on this end.
So here we got birds.
Yeah. So we've seen some birds. Now we're hoping for some of the target species, and try to stay on the path if possible, since we know that there might be some birds just in this area. Oh, maybe they got another one. Sometimes the birds just fly into the net even though you're not herding them into the net, because it's early morning, they're just getting active, and they just don't see the net, they go right into it.
So we're just coming on 7 o'clock, so I'm going to have to...
Yeah, we'll give the repeat.
You guys get another one? You got a what? Oh, so that's what you mean.
So it sounds like they got a swamp sparrow.
Yeah, they got one.
Excellent.
All right,
So we'll see a bird get banded today.
7 o'clock our official start.
Okay, so this is the official start. I got to keep moving with the rope, but so welcome everyone who's just now tuning in. We did start a little earlier this morning because of some wind. We wanted to go ahead and get a couple of these, get a couple of the sort of runs with using this rope to sort of herd the birds into the mist nets. So welcome, I'm Brian Garrett. I am a wildlife biologist with the South Florida Water Management District. Today we're out at CREW, which is the Corkscrew Regional Ecosystem Watershed. We're in a grassland in that area, and we are capturing birds, and we are going to band any sparrows that we capture today. And we're getting in position right now to herd birds towards the net that you'll see once we actually probably get up to the net. It basically disturbs the birds, gets them up and flying towards the net. Since there's like 4 of us across the rope, the birds have a tendency to fly away from people after being disturbed, and they fly towards the net over there. So I basically call it herding. So we're basically herding birds to the net. And I think we're in place. Good. And yeah, off the side a little bit, but that's good. So if you look this way, you can actually see the poles, but you might not be able to see the net. And that's actually on purpose, because the net's supposed to be near and visible so the birds don't see it. That's why they call it a mist net. And sometimes you can see some birds that'll pop into it at the last second as we're herding them this way, because they're moving through the grass. Okay. Oh, we got a bird.
He's on the ground though.
Yep. Yeah, we got a sparrow here.
Let me get him first.
Yeah, just so he doesn't get away.
I'll let you hold this.
Okay.
What's your...
You got enough light now?
Yeah. So this is a Savannah sparrow. He was barely caught. He just flew in, so he came out pretty quickly. Get my hand. There we go.
So and this is what you're looking for, right?
This is one of them. This is Savannah. There's Grasshopper, Savannah, and Swamp are the three main ones that we find in here. So this is one of them. He's unbanded. So we'll bag him, and then we'll go up to the banding table and process him in a little bit. Just put him in the bag and secure it. It's pretty quiet and dark in there.
One palm.
Another palm?
So you have to have special training and a permit and such to be able to handle these
Yes.
birds, right?
Yes. You
Absolutely.
have to have a federal permit. You have to have a state permit.
And tell us real quick for our audience here who you are and how you got into
Right.
this.
So I'm Bob Altman. I'm retired now, but I used to work for the American Bird Conservancy for 20 years. I've been doing bird banding for about 40 years. So I started when I was in my 20s, early 20s. But this is the first I've done in Florida. I live in Oregon most of the year. I'm one of those snowbird guys, and
No pun intended.
no
right?
pun intended. And so I've started this banding project here in Florida. But most of the time I've banded elsewhere in the country.
So we have a question from one of our viewers who's asking if they look kind of fragile on the video. Is it a fragile bird? Is it a robust bird?
They're pretty hardy. Most of them are pretty hardy. And it depends on how caught they are as to whether it appears fragile. But for the most part, they're pretty hardy. They can withstand a lot.
All right, so now we're gonna.
That looks
You
like
guys
Another palm. They are by far the most common capture.
So and these are the ones you're not banding, right? You're letting these ones go. The other ones you're banding and letting go.
right.
Didn't you have a day where you caught close to 40 of them or something like that, or
51. One morning.
51 of these Pom Warblers? So this is a very common species, and their population is doing well.
So I think what we'll do is we'll take those two down and hang them on the. I'll take them down.
Okay,
And hang them on the banding table.
we'll get in position.
And then we'll take the rope across the road to the other end.
So we're
So how many sparrows did you get so far? Yep.
So we're trying to get in as many of these runs with the rope as we can before the sun really comes up, because when the sun comes up, it'll start to reflect off of the net itself. So the more of these that we can get in before that happens, probably the more successful we're going to be today.
And so talk a little bit about the importance of banding these. What are we learning from this? How does this
So
help?
banding is something you can learn all different types of things about birds. You can learn about sight fidelity. For instance, some of the birds that were banded last year we've actually seen show up this year. So we know they're coming back to this site year after year, just based off of that. You can also use you can get other population dynamics out of banding, because these birds will be seen in possibly other parts of the country. And then if they can read the band, or if they're captured in a mist net, let's say in Ohio, then they can say, hey, we found your bird up in Ohio. And then you know that bird, where it's going each year. You can also get like estimates on what the populations are, as far as whether they're healthy populations or they're in decline, based off of captures and recaptures.
He's going to go band them right now?
No, he's not. He's actually going to set those birds aside, and that's what I'm saying. We're going to try to get in as many of these runs to actually capture birds now, so that we can, while we still have the good conditions. And then once we've done both of these, typically that's when Bob will go ahead and band the first group of birds that we collect, because you don't want to leave them in those bags too long. They're safe in those bags right now, but ultimately you don't want to hang on to a bird for like hours or anything like that. Just behind us, I just heard a grasshopper sparrow. So hopefully there's some other grasshopper sparrows over here, because that's of the birds that we've collected so far. We've collected a swamp sparrow and a savanna sparrow, and the grasshopper sparrow is the third one that we're interested in. So it'll be interesting to be able to show all three of them to the audience today. I think we might wait for Bob to come over. He'll take up a place on the net, and then we'll do yet another one of these where we basically just walk towards the net over there. Hearing some chipping from birds all throughout here. I think I'm looking, trying to make out the net.
Yeah, I can see the last pole.
Okay. Yeah, I see them. Okay. All right. Yeah. So Bob was just saying he thinks this should be a good run. See some birds that are popping up right over there. You just see them. There's one in front of us. I do believe we're going to get some captures on this one for sure. Okay, excellent. Let's go ahead. So just be careful as you're walking across here, but okay, that's a sparrow. That is.
Here's a grasshopper sparrow.
I think this is a grasshopper also. I think. So that's a Pom Warbler. And then the other one that's right there is also a Pom Warbler. Yeah, we got a lot of birds this time. Is that a
Savannah?
That's a Savannah, okay.
Coming underneath.
All right. Yep.
Can I grab a bag from you, please?
Oh yeah, sure. Take a couple.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, we've got a couple down there. Sure.
Sparrows?
Yeah.
Excellent.
This is a banded Savannah sparrow.
You want to drop them off with me?
Yeah, great.
Oh, good.
He's just got one wing left, and I'm just going to slide it off the wing.
Nice.
And you can see he's banded already. So it's the bird from
Check that out.
previous
Either earlier this year or last year?
last year. Yeah.
Last year, okay.
It actually looks like the band looks kind of old, so I'm thinking it might be last year. But we'll check the number when we get back.
And what kind of bird is that?
It's a Savannah sparrow.
Have you gotten any banded birds that you haven't banded yourself?
No.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that'd be interesting.
That would be the ideal.
Yeah.
so one question we got from the public here is, what's the difference between these grasshopper sparrows and the endangered grasshopper sparrows at like Kissimmee Prairie?
Okay, so these birds are migratory. They are different subspecies. They're all called grasshopper sparrows, but the Florida grasshopper sparrow is a subspecies that does not migrate out of the state of Florida. So they stay in place. So one way to tell that it's a grasshopper sparrow is to do a survey after you know they've migrated away. And if you get callbacks from you basically play the grasshopper sparrow call and they call back, then you know those are the Florida grasshopper sparrows. That's one way. A biologist that really know the bird can distinguish between them, but it's not easy.
When we get back to the banding station, I can show you some photos that show both the Florida grasshopper sparrow and
So that sparrow that you just caught with a band is one that you had caught before.
right. Two different birds here. Common yellowthroat in my left hand,
Oh yeah.
Pom Warbler in my right hand.
So that's the female?
The yellowthroat? Oh
yeah,
yes, I wasn't looking closely yet. Just wanted to show you that. And these are not ones we were banding, so we'll go ahead and release them.
I think I misidentified her. I saw them together. I thought they were both just palms.
Okay.
So those guys will be released. So we've got 4 more besides the 2 that we got before. So we're up to at least 6, possibly 7. Was it the female?
Yeah.
Okay, we saw the female before. If we get a male, we'll definitely want to show her because the males are really spectacular.
So we checked all the way down, so we're good.
Yep. I got another yellow
Let's,
throat.
we're going to do the other side. So
Do you want to deliver these over there, or you just want to hold on to
I'll
them?
carry him. Let me
Okay.
Because it's better if I carry him. If I fall, it's better than anybody else.
Okay.
No, it's Savannah and then
drag the
Got
rope.
two.
Drag the rope down that way and go around the wall. And then drag yours.
I think what I might do is stay on this side, right there, as you guys are coming.
That actually no, because it might cause the birds not to come this way. If you
on
stay all the way to the end,
Yeah,
I think
that's
that might be
what
all
I'm
right. Okay. So I think we're gonna walk out that way, I believe.
All right, well, I'll go. Yeah, well.
And now you see the sun is finally coming up. So we are finally getting our sunrise. A beautiful sunrise over Crew.
And where are we in relation? What's the nearest town?
The nearest towns are like Bonita Springs and Immokalee, Florida. So we're kind of in between those two. We're essentially in southwest Florida, but we're still in the South Florida Water Management District because there is a Southwest Florida Water Management District also, but this is the part of Southwest Florida that falls under the South Florida Water Management District.
Can you talk a little bit about how this helps us manage the land?
Well, this helps us manage the land by knowing that these birds are coming back here year after year, and that they're utilizing this area. That can help us make decisions such as whether we try to turn this into like what the rest of Crew is, or whether we try to maintain this property as a grassland. Now, those decisions haven't been made, but by having this information about what species are actually utilizing it, we can utilize that information and make more informed decisions, land management decisions.
So, can I hang out right here?
Yeah, you might want to back off just a little bit. You can still catch us coming in. So this will be the last run we do before we start banding birds. This will be the last time we try to herd birds into the net before we go over to a table and take the birds that we've captured so far and go ahead and put bands on them and record all this information and data about them. Just about in position. A little bit further. All right, we're good. And this is the last herding. We will do this again after we've banded the birds we have, but we will definitely go ahead and band the birds that have already been captured. See a bird right in front of me. Let's see if we can get him all the way into the net. All right. So Gabe, as you're coming that way, be checking where the net is next to you and see if there's anything there. Sometimes birds can also be hard to see, especially when you're looking into the sun. And one reason this side might not work as well as the other is you can see the wind today is blowing, and it's blowing the net out. So if a bird hits the net like that and touches it, then it can bounce right off. But if it bounces coming this way, it just automatically sort of falls into this pocket.
Okay, so we have a question from the public. Can these sparrows that are the migrating ones that are not endangered, can you breed those with the endangered grasshopper sparrow to bolster the population?
I don't know. I'll just admit I don't know the answer to that question. We might ask Bob that. Bob might actually have a better answer than I don't know.
All right, well, let's go see what he says. Did we see any on this side?
I'm not sure. It looks like you're getting something out of the net over here.
I didn't see much down here.
I saw a few heading this way, but like I said, on this side with the net sort of bowing out because of the wind, they might just sort of bounce off the net. As you can see, you're getting caught in the net because it's actually blowing up to you.
Yeah, and that's catching people, not birds.
Exactly. I'm just right in behind you. See what we got. Any captures over here? I guess they all bounced off the net. I saw several birds sort of kick up towards it. So now we're on to the next phase of capturing and banding birds, the actual banding part.
It's a good thing we started early, right?
Yeah, no, it's just this day is actually working out pretty well.
Something about the early bird, right?
Yep. The early bird gets captured. And banded.
Hey, so one question I don't know if you could answer from the public is someone asked if you're able to breed the endangered sparrows with the non-endangered sparrows to help bolster the population.
That should go to you guys. One of you guys. You're the Florida people.
I don't know. I've just admitted that I don't know really the answer. Kathleen she might come back. Maybe she has some idea.
Another question.
The general answer is no, simply because they've evolved genetically to be independent subspecies, and so you'd be mixing genes at that point, and then you tend to lose the purity of whatever it was that was evolved in that particular place. In this case, Florida grasshopper sparrow. So
it could be that it's in their genes that tells them to start migrating away also, and then you don't really have a bird that's non-migratory.
Yeah, it certainly would confound the potential behavioral issues and migratory issues and just about everything.
Now we had another question asking if the endangered sparrows have the same habitat as the sparrows that you guys are banding today.
It's similar. I think it's probably a little more hydrated areas. Like one of the main areas that the endangered grasshopper sparrow is Kissimmee Prairie State Park is one of the last areas that actually has a population to it to some degree or another. Although
okay.
All right, so describe what you guys are doing.
okay. Well, This is Bob's part of the show for sure. Not that the whole thing is. It's basically Bob's show, but this is the actual banding part of it, and Bob's just going to go through the birds that we captured, sort of in sequence on each area that we have.
This is a recap, Joe.
Well, where do I put?
Go ahead. You can talk over.
Yep.
I didn't see the.
It's the second
this
page.
one?
Yeah. So this is a bird. This is a bird that we caught before, and I'm going to give Joe the band number as soon as I can read it with my magnifying tool. 2781.
That's the beginning.
Yeah, the first four. 2781. 55111. So this bird was banded sometime in November or December. I just know by the band number. I look it up, but I just know.
Okay.
So it's not from last year. It's from this year. It's
Early this year. Early in your banding
this
period.
season, yeah.
So does this bird live here all the time, or is it just migrating, coming back and forth?
Swamp sparrows are here year-round, so this guy's probably...
So it's not surprising to see him in the same place?
Well, in the winter, this is a winter season now, so I probably banded him in November. So throughout the November to March, yeah, they're going to be in the.
So would you collect any more
I'll
data?
collect some data.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, fat is 3, Joe. I'll show you in a minute what I'm looking at there, but I want to kind of get through all the data first, and then we'll take a look at him.
So you're measuring his wings.
Measuring his wing at this point. 57. Tail. 55. It's net 5. And don't forget the new date. And flight feather wear is a 1. Like FF wear is a 1. Age is unknown. Sex is unknown. Age is 1, which is just after hatch here. It's just because it's after January 1. So this bird actually has a fair amount of fat on it. It's yellowish, orangish yellowish deposits that are laid right at the base of the esophagus and the breastplate. And kind of interesting, he's got fat of 3, which that's pretty high for this time of year.
Good habitat.
Yeah.
Maybe it's having to deal with all the little cold snaps that we've had.
Well, that too, yeah.
The swamp sparrow, right?
Yes.
Did people just went SWMD?
SWSP.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next bird.
Last 1111. Last digits.
For the band.
278 155.
Let me do it again. 2781 551111.
Okay, got it.
Somebody else want to release him? So we're going to basically just release him
Go
now.
ahead.
So I don't remember how to.
This way. You lefty?
No, I wanted to get the and then.
Oh, do it that way? Oh. You got to get way up in his thigh.
No, he was actually out this way. Lost a few feathers there.
He's caught in December.
December, okay. There we go.
Day after
26.
Christmas. You might have been here, Brian.
What's that?
You might have been here. 26. Were you here on the 26th?
I think
This
you were
is
here.
Savannah
on the
Sparrow,
26th.
and he's not been banned.
Yeah, I think it
So
was. It was the day after.
I think
Put
it
the
was the first day,
aluminum
wasn't it?
band on him.
Oh, okay.
You did it, right?
Yeah, it was the first day.
Size
Was it the first day?
fits
No,
on
I
his
came
legs,
just
so
before
it-
Christmas,
did you?
and then just after
Oh,
Christmas.
okay.
Because there weren't a lot of people.
Because I was going to be surprised. I'm like,
Give him the
oh,
band
he's a
number
trooper.
so
He's
we
coming
make
a day
sure
after
that-
Christmas.
So this is a new one.
It was a good excuse just to kind of get out in the field. There's
And the
nothing
last
going on in
two
the office that
digits
day, you know.
are
As well.
43, is that right?
Yep. Sounds right.
Savannah Sparrow net 5. no fat, 0 fat. Wing is 69. It's pretty long.
I probably
this time of year I can't sex them, but males tend to have longer wings than females, so a 69, I would have to look it up, but it's probably pushing the max for a male. Tail's 55.
What does the fat content tell you?
Just tells you how, this time of year tells you how well they're doing in terms of the middle of the winter season, because that's what we're at right now. But it's not that critical this time of year. They put fat on mostly when they're ready to migrate. So in March, this same bird will probably start putting on fat in March, throughout March, and then as it migrates sometime probably in April, it'll probably be bulging with fat when it takes off. So putting fat on is usually a pre-migratory thing, but sometimes they'll put it on in the winter if the conditions are good.
How far are these birds migrating from typically?
Well, we don't know because we need to get a recovery on this particular
okay.
guy. I don't know, but you know, it could be anywhere north of here.
Okay.
Virtually.
So it really depends on how much fat they really need to have on their body for how far they're going to go.
Yeah, and we won't know that until obviously March when they start to lay down the fat.
Sure.
And get ready to migrate. So
White feather wear and skull.
And I'm going to skull him. White feather wear. Let me look. He's got some nicks, so we'll go with a 2 on white feather wear. I'm going to skull him now. I'll tell you this in a minute as soon as I see what he is, what I'm doing. But let me see first what he is. It's a 6.
Fully complete.
So it means that his skull is fully ossified. If it was not a 6, if it was a 4 or 5, that would mean that his skull was not fully ossified, which would tell me that he was born this past breeding season. So he would be less than a year old. But since it is ossified and it's after January 1, I can't really age it by his skull, but at least I know that it's not definitely a hatch here, but we don't know for sure.
And what kind of bird was this one again?
Savannah sparrow.
So it's ages 1, right?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Anybody? Kathleen?
I may actually have a picture of that same bird from last time.
The net, right, Bob?
Yeah, 5.
He was vocal on the way out. He was giving us the business.
I think there was a grasshopper sparrow too in there, wasn't there? You think
There
anybody else
was,
get one?
yeah, I had one.
Okay. Oh, there was a grasshopper sparrow that came from.
This.
Okay, it came from that net.
That one I got the grasshopper. I didn't get any grasshoppers in this one.
Okay, I didn't think we had gotten one from there.
Another Savannah sparrow.
Oh, maybe I did. Maybe for myself.
And another one that's not banded. So let me check the number. This is 44.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Savannah net 6. Fat is 0. Wing is 68. Tail's 54. White feather wears a 1. 6. So the same as the last one. The skull's fully ossified. And what I'm going to do with him. Take a photo. Okay.
Try to do this with the right hand this
There you
time.
go. There you go. Grasshopper sparrow.
All right, go back again.
Perfect time.
Excellent.
And he's
We got
unbanded.
Got our third species.
This is the bird that we're most interested in here, and the one that we capture the most in terms of the sparrows.
This is the
Grasshopper sparrow.
not the endangered one.
Not the Florida grasshopper, right. This is a different subspecies that breeds north of here. It's 45, the band number.
So where do we think this bird came from?
We would like to know that. That's why we put a band on it. So hopefully we can find out.
But Bob, you were saying that in some states north of here that they are actually a listed species?
Yes, state listed, yes. So in general, grasshopper sparrows across the U.S. are a species of high conservation concern. Significant population declines throughout their range. And in some states, in the Northeast particularly, they're state listed as threatened or endangered in, I think, 7 states. All of the Northeast states plus New Jersey. So if this bird is from any of those states,
then this is a really important area then.
That is very significant. And by putting the bands on, we're hoping for a recovery somewhere else that will tell us where it went.
You're just giving it a chance.
Joe, there's a in the back there. Kathleen knows that laminated thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can show the difference in some photos of the Florida grasshopper sparrow versus the one that we're banding right now.
So this
Someone
is a
to go
photo.
process them.
So what are these birds?
This is the Florida grasshopper sparrow. This is the one that we're banding here, which is the subspecies potensis that breeds to the north.
So this is the endangered,
Yes.
and this is the non-endangered.
Right. Much darker much more black in the coverts than this guy. Much more black in the back. See how the brown comes down? It's mostly brown through the nape and down into the back. This guy, well, the nape is still brown, but it's very black in the shoulder area.
And this one looks like it has more yellow.
It does in that photo, yeah. I don't know if that's diagnostic or not.
So what are the birds that we're hearing in the background there?
Meadowlarks.
Yeah.
That is 1 on this guy, Joe.
Okay.
Did I give you the band number?
Yeah, 45.
Okay. Wing is 62. Tail is 47. Light feather wear is a 1.
And for people who are just joining us, Brian, can you talk a little bit about how the data and the science that you guys are doing here, how that helps us manage the property here?
Well, it just gives us knowledge about, first of all, what species are here. There's the potential for finding out where these birds are coming from and whether that we might see them as more elevated species of concern. And that it gives us information that can be used to help direct the land management that we might perform in this area.
So I'm going to take some additional measurements. I take several other measurements on grasshopper sparrows just because they're of greater interest to us, and because it's a good idea to get some baseline on the measurements for this guy and be able to compare it to the Florida grasshopper sparrow if need be at some point.
So you're measuring his beak right now?
I'm measuring what's called the culmen, which is the length of its beak from the beginning of the feathers out to the tip. It is 11.3. I'm going to take a measurement of what's called the nares, which is from its nostril, basically the front end of its nostril to the tip of the beak, and it's 8.5. Then I'll take another one of the depth of the bill from the same spot. It is 6.5. Okay. That's it?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
You got a couple.
How many did you guys capture in total for that?
We had 6 here, but we released the ones that were not banding, so I don't know. Must have been a dozen of those. Maybe 15 to 20 so far, I guess.
Is that considered a good day?
It's a little slow. The wind is a factor.
It really affected going this way, I think.
Yeah, we can only basically catch them on one side of the net for the most part because the wind's blowing.
We've had 12 releases so far. And then whatever we
16.
captured here. So.
18 overall.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad. It typically isn't going to just be just that first run. There would be, I don't know, usually what, 3 or 2?
Usually 3.
Yeah.
So what do we have here?
This is another grasshopper sparrow that was also unbanded, so I put a new band on it. Same bird, same subspecies. Let me check the band number to make sure. 46.
Yep.
One question is, does the band impact their flight at all?
No. The weight of these things is almost negligible relative to the bird's body weight. There's a maximum that's allowed of any, whether it be a band or whether it be a radio transmitter or anything that you can put on a bird. It has to be less than 3% of the body weight. This is less than 1% of the body weight, so it's completely negligible in terms of affecting flight.
So the bands that we were looking to put on flamingos and STA2 are about the size of that entire bird. And of course, flamingos are as big as we are.
Fat is 0.
And so bird banding like this has been done for a long time?
Long time, yeah. Officially, probably 80, 90 years, if not more, officially. And then people way back when always used to try to put different things on birds just to see if they would see them again. But now it's all regulated and monitored, so wing is 60.
Yeah, there was a time, I guess, that it was a lot easier to become a bird bander, and it's a much more stringent process now.
So in this
45
science,
tail.
this science project is a collaboration. We've got the South Florida Water Management District, Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, and Citizen Science.
Exactly.
Flight feather wears 1.
Out there who now knows our biologist, tell us where you work for, who you work for again?
Used to work for American Bird Conservancy for about 20 years, and I just recently retired just the end of last year.
So this is, you're still kind of working.
So says my wife, too. And she says, you're not getting paid now, so what's wrong with this picture?
You must love birds.
I do, yeah. Skull is 6.
Got a favorite bird?
The one, whatever I'm watching or holding at that point in time. You know, everybody has their favorites, I guess, but I don't know. It is momentary. It's whatever is in the moment, I think. 11-1 is Coleman. Nares is 7-8.
Is this another grasshopper?
Another grasshopper.
Okay.
That might have been the first.
What do they typically eat? Like, what are they eating out here?
Insects, for the most part. They will eat seeds when this time of the year and certain other times. During the breeding season, it's almost predominantly insects because they need the protein to feed the young. But outside of that breeding season, they're opportunistic, so insects when they're available, but also seeds. We did catch a meadowlark yesterday too.
Oh, that's cool.
That would have been cool today if we got one.
That's what we're hearing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, we also caught a snipe.
Really?
That would be really cool.
I thought those were only purview of Boy Scouts on campouts.
Yeah, right. Yes, they really do exist.
Yeah, okay. What net was this one in? Do you remember?
6.
6.
Got one of these.
That's it. Oh, we can for this guy.
Was that our final?
No,
One more. I think the last one must be a Savannah.
probably.
A lot of times they'll give a little chip when they. Not always, but.
It's a warning.
You don't have your recorder today, do you? Right?
I do.
Oh.
I do. We should.
Do we have that?
It's in the car somewhere. Probably. Good luck trying to find it. But
What are you using the recorder for? Just to get
it's
the.
a playback. It's just.
Oh, okay.
It has
Oh,
Grasshopper
to get
song on it.
to get callbacks. Okay.
Yeah, it's not the breeding season, so it's not really that effective. They do seem to show a little curiosity to it, but it's not like in the breeding season where they'll go towards it.
I've heard a few of the grasshoppers calling out there while we've been out there.
Okay, so this guy's a recap. And it's a Savannah. Let me give you the whole number. 1881 347 73. Savannah net 6. Cool.
Place it out there, or do you want me to just show it?
I think maybe that you wanted to hit the on Grasshopper. That's Vesper Sparrow.
There.
Yeah,
Let's play that.
yes. I don't know which one it is, which song, which recording.
Is it all the way?
This might be.
Is it all the way in?
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Well, then I might shut it off with my last. No, there it is. So let me do this.
So that's a recording of the grasshopper sparrow?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys use that for?
To track them. In the breeding season, it works well, and this time of year, not so much, but they show a little bit of curiosity to it, so occasionally I'll put it out.
So those kind of come over and check out, see what's going on. There's certain birds will do that.
65 wing, Joe.
See who possibly in their territory, or who they're competing with for food, resources.
Yeah, and because of Bob's
52.
project, last year we did a
52.
playback
You got
fall
lucky on
survey
the
in
wind.
here,
It didn't
and
happen
also in
until
North
just
areas
Okay.
as well. So during the breeding season, we didn't hear any Florida grasshopper sparrows. We were just trying to confirm that there weren't any.
Did I give you flight featherware?
Nope.
Earlier in the Facebook Live, I explained that because I've done some surveys up north of the lake where you might actually expect them, and we didn't find them either.
I've skulled them before.
So the callback, yeah, and we have to do it out of the
guys,
migratory season.
Question from the public: do you guys count the population in general, or just the ones that you banned? And did you guys have a sense of what the population of these sparrows is?
I estimated last year, 300 in this field, and that's just based on how many we caught. And we caught 60 in this narrow corridor along this road here, and I just basically extrapolated out the area covered by that relative to the area we didn't cover. I came up with 300, but that's just an estimate.
So you're basing it on the number of captures and the number of recaptures, correct?
Yeah, and relative to the area that
Right.
cover.
Right.
It's an estimate.
Sure.
Fat?
It was 0.
So this year it might be, you think, might be a little bit different because we have the ability to recapture this year versus like last year. Obviously, we were just doing it for the first year.
Right, yeah.
It was cut on the 20th of December.
20.
Just go straight to the net. Nope. There you go.
All right.
Okay, so we need to get down there.
Get some more.
All right. Did you want to keep going, or you just cut it off at this point? So, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate everyone tuning in, and hopefully you can watch this over again if you missed part of it. We started actually recording at 6:30 this morning, a little earlier than we said we were going to. So definitely go back and watch the early part of it. We had actually captured a house wren earlier today. So once again, I'm Brian Garrett with South Florida Water Management District, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.